So how are you
Hi,
doing?
hi everyone. You are watching and listening Ayush Talks with Ayush. But here's the twist: we have Ayush Soni here. He's a film producer based in New York City, and we are going to talk about a lot of things, mainly into content creation and film making today. So stay tuned for to the end, and let's hear the story of Ayush from Ayush.
Thank you very much for having me, first of all.
I want to ask the very first question here. That is like from the day you started implementing what you have learned in college and from internet, right? And from to today, what are some of your failures? I want to know, and I want to start this podcast with failures. And these are not failures, but just learning and in the process which you learn by just by failing. So if you can mention some of your failures, that would be great.
Well, I don't know which one to mention because every day I'm thinking about how and where should I start that with. But I want to backtrack it and start with right from my high school. Like I failed in almost all the subjects. There wasn't even a single thing up which I did not fail in. Not like in an entire class, but like a subject and stuff like that. So I was always a um, F student, I would say, or needless to say, I don't know how they count numbers right now, but less than 30 marks out of 50, out of 100, which makes you a failure. So my very upbringing was from the fact that I was failing terribly in my school. And yeah, so that was basically the start of failures. And it's funny enough, I never cared about it. Like I still do. I haven't really even maintained single notebook till now. Like if you were to go the fuck at school, I do not have even single finished notebook. I never did any homework. I was hardly attentive in classwork, and like a good student, like respectable enough to everybody else around me. My uh teachers and like nobody like ever hated me, like, but they just had complaints regarding that, oh, you don't study. So my failure is pretty much see I don't the failure, there's so many great definitions about failure and everybody defines failures in certain different way. But for me, failure is just a huge part of my life, and I don't like you have to fail so that you can succeed, because everyone fucking knows that. Like you try something, it doesn't work out, and then you try something else. But my relationship with failure, like a love and hate relationship, because like I love failing, and at the same time I hate failing, and it's like a sweet balance which gets me going. Like I'm definitely trying new things every other day, and I fail at most of those things, like so many times, and I'm quite happy with kind of my fuel in a way. And like it's like, like how you have relationship with your parents, it's different with everyone, but certain things can't be explained in words. It's hard for me to draw a line and tell it in two lines to anyone, but I would just say like me and my failures have a serious relationship with each other, which is hard to break.
Yeah. But how do you motivate yourself? Like you mentioned, you fail a lot, and you have been failing from years, right? How do you motivate yourself? And what do you do? Like you do podcast, or you mentioned you love storytelling. So what exactly you do?
So listen, like motivation is subject. I'm genuinely inspired by the things and by the stories and by the kind of people I meet around me. So like
Mhm.
motivating could be like, what do I get motivated with? Like, I don't know, like losing weight is kind of motivating because then you kind of feel good. Like your failure is basically when you're eating a pizza or like on a row and you're not basically healthy, then it's kind of like a failure in a way. Okay. And then how do you keep motivated? Well, you fucking go out and you work out and you surround yourself with people who, like not eating McDonald's every day, but you meet people who are like trying to get shit done, and that just motivates you. But inspiration is more of like, in a way, I'm kind of like tagging along inspiration with motivation, because I feel it goes like, it's easy, like the motivation fades off but inspiration is not like. And like for me, for example, like why I would like to be fit is just so that I can take an extra, like I could probably 1.5 hours in a day being fit and being active, trying to get things done. So that's kind of similar to everything else which I do. Like, I really like to dictate my what and why. For a very long time, I haven't had it clear, but on the subconscious, I always knew what my what and whys are. And often when I don't know, even though if it's a big thing, I won't be able to do it. Like I'll do it if I have like, like agreement and I gotta do it. Like there's no option to that. Then I'll do it. I need to motivate myself through some way or some other external factors. But my motivation truly comes from two different things. And do I really need to do it? Like how much do I really want it? and those answers are pretty quick to me. And often before I land up into something, I know those answers, and that just keeps me motivated towards doing this thing like this, which we are doing right now. There's a motivation behind that. Number the like it's so easy. It's Saturday here. It's so easy to go out with friends and like have some beer and then probably chill out. And but like I'm motivated and pumped up to do this because first of all, the kind of things which we are going to talk with each other uh, might be helpful for someone who is even 36. Talks about who is under the age, like somebody younger than me. But a lot of people are actually in a position right now where they want to be in a similar position as us. So yeah, it's like that. Like my motivation comes from different places. Like while rest of the people look down and walk, I like to, even though if I have like major fuck ups, I like to look up and walk. So when you're looking up, you see a lot more different options around, and it's like okay, I like I gotta say something real quick. When you walk in the street of New York City, I see a lot of people really looking down and walking, and on a regular basis. And I don't know why. I never shared this, but it really drives me crazy. But when I used to live in Mumbai, like you gotta fucking look up and walk. Like maybe like if you're wired into something else, understand what I mean to say is like there's so much happening around. Like don't get consumed. Once you get things, you lose the whole surrounding around you. So I don't know. I can get motivated by anything, but I look for the things. I look out. When you look out, you find. When you don't look out, you do not find anything. Just watch out and look out.
I just realized you like to break down the things and all.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Problem while growing up for me was my instructors. Like I was literally thinking 2 days back, when an instructor came and gave a geography lesson in my class, like I wish the instructor told me that why this is important and how you need to know and how your geography like evolve you as an understanding. Like I'm kind of that kind of guy, honestly. Like I don't understand. Like I sucked at accounting because I really think that my instructors suck. Otherwise I would have been good at it. Like they failed in explaining me how to exactly do it. So my like in my 11th standard I fucking failed, dude. Like I had to give a retest and I've kind of failed in that, but some connections worked out and I don't want to name people, but I reached to a standard. But like I don't know. I like to like my mind right now, like when I let's say that's one of the reason I do producing,
Mm.
because I'm like, okay, what's going on in directing department? What's going on in edit department? What are we doing with production design? Like 10,000 different problems coming up. If you just tell me to focus on one department, I'll suck balls at that. But getting into different departments and talking things down is definitely one of my strength, I would say, which I'm trying to make more strong.
It is a strength, and at the same time, it is a skill. I call it. We generally philosophize a lot of things in every day. It's more of a skill which everyone should acquire. You know.
Yeah, like I like juggling balls. That's my strength.
Okay.
Different balls, not juggling balls. Before somebody gets it wrong.
Nice, nice. So, like, how do you help content creators? Like, how exactly you help them into creating content?
Um, so it kind of depends, man. Like there's so much of different kind of definition for I rather like to put it in a way that content is more of a second layer. The first layer is telling a story, and then the content is actually the telling your story could actually come out in a different forms, like whether you are posting a meme which you are passionate about or something, some of your agenda and stuff like that. So there's like different layers to it, and then there's blogging, and then there's like documenting every day full length, like as in like 45 to 60 minutes of a story or something like that. So like my like how I navigate content creation is more of like what do I select, and how do I put my perspective into it as along with the person I'm creating content for, and make sure that it aligns with the consumption of their values, and how and which way we should distribute it. So that's pretty much like that. There's no one way of dealing with content. There's multiple ways.
Mhm.
The question is that what works best for us and what
Mhm.
aligns at the same time with the consumer. So that's how I address it, one day at a time, seeing what's hot today, what could go out today.
No, I understand, Ayush. Like, I want to know, like, why any content creator or any an influencer should call Ayush Soni or your production house. Like, what you are going to bring.
Well, see, okay, that's an interesting question. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so here's, I think a lot of people, like, people don't know how really one should tell a story. Like, it's not just about a rant where you go in and then you talk about, like, oh, the best example would be there's a structure to storytelling, and each one has their own structure. So let's say, and what I am good at is understanding what that person's structure and what kind of consumers that particular person have or can in future have. So it's like, for me, it's like, I'm my one of my biggest strength is to actually audit and how his audience can perceive it. That's it. So, and that basically means that, there's a lot of emotional intelligence. But by that, what I mean is that, like, you have a good understanding of actual consumers and humans. Because, like, me personally, growing up, like, I've been a very social person. The kind of friends I have, like, often my friends think that, why are you friends with those people? Like, I'm like, I mean, why can't I be? Like, I'm literally friends with everyone. You have no, like, I'm friends with Terry next to my place. I was friends with him. I was friends with his workers. They used to call me to contact with me. So I have a very good understanding of what's going on around in the world, with different categories of it. Have people. I know people who are filthy rich. I know people who are, like, really living below the income. I know people who are middle class, and I tend to understand the behavior of those people. I come from a middle class family, so growing up, I was being lucky enough to, you know given opportunity to go out, and, like my dad and my mom always did that. Like, they didn't care about me. I would literally, like, people are protective. They don't want their kids to talk with anyone, but my parents never cared about it. Like, they always let me talk. That over the time developed as a strength, where I could really read a person's mind or his consumption style to an extent. Like, nobody knows what the fuck is going on in another person's mind, but there are very basic. My duty end of the day becomes that how I can use this person's story to connect with the consumer. Or if there is no consumer, then what attribute does this person have that I can bring out of it and throw it out to somebody else who will connect with it. you know
Mm-hmm.
so there's different things. There's, like, a person has so many different things about it. You have to be really, like, you have to have that sense within yourself to actually find out that, oh, this person had this, that different thing. How can I circulate it? That's why I said this, the distribution is different. The first thing, there's so many content creators, there's so many people who have hired different people, but they don't like that person who they're working for, because they don't understand that person. They're not open-minded. And, like, I would say suck, but, like, I don't want to say that. It's more about relatability. Like, then their content is not
Mm-hmm.
relatable. And what I tend to do is, like, I connect. Like, I like to connect. I like to know the person first. Like, who are you? What do you do? And stuff like that. And then I see how it could be distributed, where it could be gone, and what kind of questions can I ask, and what can I do. But, I'll tell you, Ayush, like, I'm just gonna add, before I started this podcast, and the moment you asked me about the podcast, I was thinking about sharing this with everyone. And I'm just gonna take a moment here to share it, because it's very important. Okay. So let's first of all, let's take out the word content, and let's just talk about the word creator. Because when you talk about content creator, it puts you on a different funnel. So let's address the new word, and let's put it in the way of creator. So as a creator, your basic duties involve, like, producing an entire segment or an entire video or entire graphic or whatever the hell you're working on. But what it means is, like, right from ideas to actually executing it and then distributing it is what a creator's job. And you, no way, can create stuff for someone who you do not like. If you do not like the person you're trying to create stuff for, if you do not like the brand you're trying to create the stuff for, it's just not being able to do it. It's just like talking about your crush. Like, real good things about your crush because you like her or him or whatever, a particular person's life. But it's just like that. Like, creator is a very personal job. So for me, like, what, until unless there's, like, a huge sum of money involved which can help me solve other problems in my life, what I really look at it is that, like, who is this person? What does this person want? And what are his values and messages? And once you sit and you actually start to analyze all these things, you don't even need to work on that. Then it's just like you're an observer, that you are noticing so many different, you can create so many different pieces of content for him. See, like, there's so many different ways of content creating, but I'm speaking of from personal brand, because that's my area of expertise, I would say, right now. So I cannot speak for a big brand like, I don't know, like Louis Vuitton. I don't know how the fuck they deal with it. That's more from an agency perspective. But my first hand experience is, like, basically, I'm the guy who's a creator. media producer and a film producer who have experience of dealing with different people on different levels. A social person, a person who likes to go and talk with different people and is a huge observer with a great amount of curiosity. Now, if I meet a person and I see all of these different traits, different pieces of content from what he have as a creator, and then possibly be more relevant in where I should distribute it and what I should do it. But if you don't like you want to create content for, you just won't be able to create content because you're expecting 10,000 people to look at it, but you yourself doesn't want to put input into it. So if you want to create content, is good, and who you like, most importantly. That's
That's
my little rant.
That's amazing, bro. I mean, a very important lesson which listeners can learn and viewers can learn is, identifying this, scope of doing any activity, either it's content creation or anything, is really important. It's the base of anything which you do. So thank you, Aish, for sharing this one lesson. It is a
Thanks, man.
major part, of anything.
Happy to share it. It's very important. That's where a lot of people get stuck with it. They get into something they don't like, and then they fuck up with the way they work, and then another person who's probably also not that good at sharing his story, then they go work for that person, and then that person doesn't like the previous work, and then it's a forever rut. Thousands of creators are stuck in there. Thousands of creators. The moment I started actually digging deep into it, to understanding the creative industry, I realized this, that that's the biggest problem. Like basically when you say a creator, it's a new fucking job, bro. It's like basically you're getting everything done, and if you don't like you are kind of an entity within yourself. It's your point of view, how you see the world, and then when you're actually having conversation with other person, until like of course there would be some things which this person would say, okay, you put out this, that, and stuff like that, but 60% of that is how you see that person and how that person put things out.
Hmm.
A lot of YouTubers and different dickheads who are like posting, fancy cars, all these different watches and stuff like that, because they got nothing else to offer. And we only few winners in this field. Rest everybody is living in a bubble. And the moment that bubble bursts,
No, no, it is happening. It is happening, bro. On
but I,
Instagram, on social media, it is happening. I've kind of figured it out, you know.
cracked the short-term growth hack, and
Mhm.
it's missing, because like you're probably either embarrassed of telling your own story, or there's like you don't believe enough in your story, and telling your own story matters. That's why you have to tell stories. Like people will connect your story more than anything else. There's a genuinity in that. And it could be, if it's not your story, it's your brand's, how you started a company, just talk about that. And but don't confuse, like I wish I could I could take the content word off, because when you the moment you start saying content word, like people's focus shift. They think of it in a different way. Like whether it's more of like let's create some stuff.
Okay,
Though I would
okay.
end up saying it, but
Uh-huh.
like
Yeah. So Ayush, I want to ask a very important question. The second question is, by the way, what is filmmaking for you, and how to be more creative as a filmmaker?
like filmmaking for me is like it's hard work, it's creative work, it's smart work, and it's basically and at the same time being able to monetize it and make money off it to pay my bills and stuff like that. Filmmaking is it's a feeling. It's in very internal, eternal. I don't know whatever the difference is, but it's a feeling which cannot be actually defined in a way to anyone. Everybody have their own this, but to me, it's a most realistic escape. Like talking about, like thinking about something, or establishing two characters and then actually going and on that on the big screen, seeing it, which probably gets stored for years. It's also a part of, in a way, like creating a certain amount of legacy for yourself. So there's so many different aspects of filmmaking, but to another world where I get to create my own world, and I play by my own rules there, how I want to do it, what I want to do it. And then I get to do it with other people who are creative than me, and everyone is there for one reason, to create some good stuff. So that is filmmaking to me. And I'm sure, like, if you ask me the same thing after 2 years, my definition would have that. I'm pretty young into it, but I realized that yes, this is something I'm extremely passionate about, and I want to do it as much as possible.
Hmm. Got it, got it. It's like getting a playground to make a goal, right?
Yeah, you could say that. You could say that. It is. It is. I mean, it's just something I'm passionate about, and I like to do it. Like I'm working when I do it. I don't feel like it doesn't feel like work. But some days it does when you're doing jobs you don't want to do. But it's never a bad day. It's never a good day. It's the day how you make it.
Is it same as defined in your graduation book? Like, what is filmmaking? Is it same, or you discovered new things, or it's totally changed?
Yeah, it's like see, there's like definition of things, and there's objects, and there are tools, and then there are ways to use it. You know, so when you I think the question is more of like how different it is to learn at
Yeah.
school and graduation and in your graduation from what you do outside background. So like
Uh,
what happens to a film school and any other school in other places, like they basically teach you grammar. So when you like every place wherever you work for has its own grammar, you know. So film industry also has its own grammar. So when you go to film school, anything, any other stuff like that, they teach you a basic grammar, which gives you a quick start or a quick. It's different. Like a film school is nowhere close to what actually filmmaking is. It gives you tools. I'm not gonna deny that. It gives you tools. If one can afford to go at a place, one I often get angry that why did I go to film school? To be very honest with you, but one of the main reason I did go to film school was because I wanted to experience how the work here was. And that's one of the reason I you define what it means to you. Like you will learn on filmmaking, you can Google it, and it's different. You know, this morning I was literally thinking, like I had it in past. It's the it's the most uninterested work I've done in my life to actually sit down and write bunch of things which I've done because it doesn't define me. No, it doesn't define me a bit. By someone who's hiring me on basis of that, it's not going to work out. If somebody is hiring me just on the basis of my resume, it's not going to work out. I know that right then and there.
yeah, yeah. Okay, okay. Ayush, next question is gonna be really interesting for you, especially because only few people know, or probably no one know, like you are in network with lot of influencers and great people, right? So the next question is like, what is your way of doing networking with top influencers?
It's no different than talking to you right now. It's like there's no the question is more towards directing the fact that how do you network and how do you get to know different people. It's no different than how you reached me, and so you could answer that question better, you know. And what you
I
did,
know.
I'll answer that. I'll answer that. But like it's more between you and me to throw it out. For the audience, I'll give a very important thing. I was actually talking about this a little while back on one of the posts, one of the other podcasts I did with someone else. But see, network is very human level, man. It's no different. You know, like when you actually go out and talk to other people, just have real conversations and just talk to them or find out ways how you can differently jab. Like for example, you know, when I moved to New York, I wanted to experience more of content industry because I saw it popping. I'm like, dude, I can do this like this. And at the same light, that's where I said, you know, at the human level, your emotional intelligence is very important. So I think I have a good amount of emotional intelligence, and it's something which is again different from person to person. Some people have it, some people don't have it, and even when some people have it, they have different traits, which could be like a person is very introvert and doesn't want to talk to someone, or is basically thinking so much, oh, what the hell would this person think, and then you don't go approach some person. So for me, while growing up, I've been a very social person, so it's not hard for me to approach to anyone. I think I have ability to really talk to anyone, and when I talk, I think one of my biggest strengths is to actually hold their attention, you know. And so yeah, I think any tip for anyone is don't overthink. You we probably think that other person knows everything, but the truth is even they don't know most of the thing. So find out when you talk to that person what is something that you, especially if you're reaching out to someone who's extremely busy, offer them something which they want to give a least amount of time to, and you probably could give that amount of time to that person. There are multiple ways. What is your way? Figure that out. And when you and if you really want to be in that particular organization or with that person, or just make connections, you know, like every you don't have to use every connections. You don't like everybody inside like you know, okay, they're going to attain something right now right away. You have to build connections like genuine on a human level. You don't need 20,000 people. If you know 5,000 people, make sure that you know those 5,000 people and they know you. You don't expect anything in return. Be in a very grateful way. Okay, let's do this, let's do that, whatever it is for you, however it works for you. But everybody has same fucking life problems in their life. Everybody have to I mean, rich people have different kind of problems. Poor people have different kind of problem. Middle class people have different kind of problems, and everybody has same different problems, but they all are same problems, some way or the other way. Electricity bill is past due date. Everybody connects on that. Oh fuck, I missed my electricity bill one day. So it's basic. Keep it light, keep it good. Talk to anyone. Don't be afraid of what that person will think. A person who is not insecure and is really social will talk to you. Doesn't matter whoever that person is. Don't go sell right away. Like make genuine connections. Like really, like you, like my aim is like when I'm like I don't know, like 89, 90, I should probably know so many people that I could like, call at 2 in the night and be like, hey, listen, I'm stuck in this thing. What do you think I should do? Like simple. Like all my friends will tell you, like I call at the most weird time and I do most different weird things. I don't care. I really don't care. Like to me, in my story, Ayush, I'm the lead. Okay, rest everybody is B players, then the moment you set your the B players which you respect, which I respect. Okay, and the moment you start thinking that way, you're automatically into a mindset where you are less anxious when you reach out to them. So my life is not dependent on them. Like I'm doing my own hustle and I connect with them on a human level. And then they will other people start appreciating it and start doing it. I mean, I'm confident that 10 years down the lane, I would be connected with more different people. But the way of conversation is not going to change. It's gonna be same, like how we are talking right now. It never changes. Don't fall for the glitz and blitz. It is what it is wherever you go. People are saying, people are good. Go reach out to them, talk to them. Not everybody's an asshole. That's it.
Exactly. Exactly. I
Or
agree with you.
up, talk, just talk. Keep on
Mm-hmm.
saying, keep telling your story, even if your story sucks. I'm like, oh, I do that all the time. And that's how I make friends. And I also lose some friends like that. You also lose some people because they don't want to talk to you. But again, you don't want to be friends with everyone. You need few people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. And also just don't procrastinate because it happens, especially in starting, people procrastinate or not. Actually texting or not.
That's actually avoiding the situation. Like you don't want
Or
to be in a
fear, or
situation where
maybe
like
fear.
something. It is fear, 100%. But that fear is way more internal. Like I hear so many different people tossing out great words like fear and introvert and stuff like that. But a lot of things are on a very internal level. Like when I say internal level is so I never went for therapy or I never went to anything like this. But when I talk to my friends who went to different therapy and different stuff, I hear them using words, not these words, but more of like breaking these words down. And then when we see a lot of top influencers who talk about it, they just talk about the words. But if each person have their own definition of fear. So, for example, if I give you a scenario, a person who wants to reach out and talk to someone is actually feared because his friend or some online YouTube video where he who of an influencer who is following is fed him in his brain. That's what I said. A motivation can come from any place. A thought can land in your place anyways. It's not just your friends and everything. It sounds stupid, but to me, like it's like our eyes are open. We are constantly consuming and looking at things. So when let's say you crossed a famous signal and there was a huge billboard which said, so billboards basically create insecurity within you. Like, oh, that's how these people sell, like all those fucking fairness claim. They make you insecure and they'll sell their product to you. And that's why I hate these fucking sellers. But it is what it is. And it's more on a different level. Audit yourself, find out the things which are within you and how you can show it and do it. But you start doing it, things will get really easy for you. Don't judge yourself. Don't judge yourself. I think the game over is at the moment when you start judging yourself. Because then but like, I mean, the moment you really start thinking and overthinking about yourself, though, everything starts coming flat. Like, why should I do it? Why should I talk to this other person? Embarrassed of some silly shit. But honestly, a lot of people don't give a fuck about. But they're embarrassed of stupid shit and they don't want to go ask other people about different stuff because they're thinking that what will other person think. Like for example, there are people their hair doesn't look good. Like they have very straight hair, wish they had some curly hair. And what if I go and talk to this person? He doesn't like my hair. My hair is oily, or I don't have enough beard, or people are like there's a deep level of insecurity which leads to not asking other people. because it's mostly your own reflection, and that's why people don't ask it. But the moment you eliminate it, you're good to go. I feel so, at least in my opinion. When I talk to so many different people, even my cousins and everybody else, my family member and everyone around us, I sense it. Like the only thing which I'm doing as I'm growing up is to eradicate that. Because while growing up, I've had that being fed in my mind. So I'm not going to entirely say that I had to give fuck because I had no other option. And as I'm growing more financially independent and having my own understanding my own things. Now I'm comparatively in a very respectful way. I don't give a fuck about a lot of things. You know what I mean? Remember, one more time, it's your story. You have to be the lead. Like, be humble, definitely, but it's your story. You have to be the lead, even if you're working for somebody as a job and stuff like that. Like, of course there's respect and there's work and everything else, but like, you matter, like, more than anybody else. Your story you're bringing, the kind of people you have met, the kind of things you have learned from your parents, from your friends, and the lessons you have learned, the heartbreaks you have had, the expeditions you went to, the memories you shared with your friends, the lessons which you learn from different wallpapers and things which come. It's all accumulation. It's not about that, oh, I read this book and I know about this book. It's more about that, yeah, it's interesting. Like, wow, how can I derive from this and then move to a next position?